Hey, Dave here from Fix and Fly RC. Been a bit since I've done one of my airplane reviews. I've done two so far, and you'll notice on all mine they're going to look a little rough because I've flown them quite a bit. Issue here and there, and occasionally crash. And so what I'm going to review here is from the color scheme is maybe not what it looks like, but this is the E-flite 1.1 meter Trojan T-28. And so for those that know the plane, or maybe just looking around for the first time, this plane comes in the kind of a yellow orangish color, and you notice that this one's has a different paint scheme on it, and I'll explain that here shortly. But in one of my earlier videos, I personally think that if you're just getting into the hobby, that the Aero Scout is probably your best investment, just to kind of get in it and get a feel for it and see if you like it. I think once you fly one, I think you're going to be hooked, just like I was, but that's just me. Because you can get in that plane. I was at the hobby store yesterday, and I think it was $219 now or something like that. So pretty low end to get in. And I think that one still comes with a basic controller and even a battery and stuff like that. So under $250, you can be in a plane and a controller. And maybe that one, maybe it's a little bit more now. I mentioned I had gone straight from the Aero Scout to a tail dragger. The RV7 clearly was a mistake on my part. Had not learned how to land well yet, and of course, the tail dragger brings its own challenges. So I ended up this being my third plane, but I would recommend highly this to be a second plane or something of this nature. A tri-gear plane. It's easy to take off, easy to land, fairly forgiving, and it'll do anything you want it to do. This is a 3S, 4S version. After you've flown a little bit, the 3S seems to be a little underwhelming, and you'll probably go into a 4S, but that's okay. I mean, you can fly either one on this. 3S is just going to fly a little bit slower, not maneuver quite as zippy. But if you just like buzzing around and still doing maneuverability, this plane will do it. And so anyway, love this plane, flew it really well. And this is probably one of my first really big rebuilds. And one thing you should pay attention to if you fly this plane is the wings are attached. There's just a little thing that goes in here that puts it in the body, and or here, and then there's a single screw right there. So that's really, that one screw is really the only thing that holds the wings on. So it's something you'll want to check every once in a while. And for me, I was flying this plane, and I noticed at first something looked like something flew off, and I thought the canopy had come off. So I was yelling at the guys to watch the canopy, because if you've ever had a canopy come off, they'll flutter, and they can go a lot of different ways if you're not careful. And depending on the plane, they're not cheap. So and then after a second or so, I realized that the wings and the fuselage had come detached, and it was actually my wings fluttering, and the fuselage, then it was just a torpedo going straight in. Of course, you got no control, and if that wasn't bad enough, luck being what it was, it just nailed right into this big pile of boulder rocks. And so, I picked up the pieces and, just threw in the back of my car with this is junk, and I'll just pull the electronics and let it go, and brought it upstairs and just let it sit for a little while. And then I just got kind of messing around with it, started trying to piece it back together again, and got her back together. And I mean, she's not as, she wasn't pretty, had some things, but I decided, because of the damage and stuff, I wanted to repaint it. And I kind of like this color scheme out of the bigger T-28. And so I just went ahead and repainted it, did shaker can. and then ordered some graphics for the bigger plane. So I had to do a little bit of work on them to make it fit. So, but she actually looked pretty decent, quite honestly. And this is actually the yellow cowl, and I repainted it. And so this, I started flying around, and this kind of became my play around plane and do things that you wouldn't normally do, and learning to fly inverted and stuff. So I've had a couple of instances where trying to bring it too low to the runway and have collapsed, hit the tail, broken the rudder off, and I've done some other damage. And you can, if you look here, there's actually a broken prop on here now for the last time I did it. I just haven't replaced it yet. So this is it's kind of nice to, kind of have that plane where you're not just kind of freaked out about if you lose it or not. And quite honestly, if don't get in the hobby if you're not willing to give up playing, because they will crash. You watch, RC Geek, man, he's had a couple of just horrendous crashes that were just heartbreaking. Two Brothers Radio, I've seen, he's got a couple of montages of crashes. So even the guys that are like, have these channels and are basically doing this for a living, just mistakes happen, things happen, and you're going to crash. So you're all, they always say a plane, all planes have a life. It's just a matter of when. And now there are plenty of people else out there, and they got, say, 300, 400, 500 flights on a plane, and it's still just as nice as when they got it. And man, that's better than me, but here I am. So I would say, again, all in all, I think this is a fantastic plane. It's a great flyer. It's fun to fly. It's easy to get in and out of, just basically in a car. You don't take it apart, so it's the right size just to kind of put in the back of the car and run to the field if you want to get some time in. I would say the only thing that's a little bit of a challenge on this plane that you want to be a little bit careful of is this front gear right here. They'll bend pretty easy, and there's obviously just some plastic up in there, and you can break that plastic, and you can kind of see this one's kind of loose, and you can even see the gears kind of bent. So if you kind of come in hard like that, you could bend that gear, and they'll bend landing easy, but straightening them up, you have to be really careful, because that spring steel is hard to bend back in place, and you can break something else. So sometimes you want to get 2 pairs of pliers so you're not loading up the plastic inside the plane. But other than that, highly recommend it. It's a great plane. It comes in a bind and fly. I've broken the receiver on this one, so I can do other stuff with it. But you can, it doesn't take hardly any time to assemble. You can, if you probably, even if you never assembled a plane, probably do it in an hour and bind it up, and you could be out flying in no time at all. So this is the E-flite from Horizon 1.1 meter T-28, normally in the yellow. This was where I changed paint schemes, and if anybody noticed, this is not the right plastic canopy. This came off a Viper jet where the canopy broke, and I went ahead and bought another canopy, and I just pulled the plastic and put it in there just to have something that looks a little more realistic, and lost the pilot. I don't know where he's at. But anyway, Dave from Fix and Fly RC. Give me a thumbs up or like or comment if you have any recommendations or suggestions. Guys, have a great one.